Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Well, he's right here in Civic Plaza, along with other celebrated characters from Shakespeare's canon, as part of Shakespeare in Civic Plaza, brought to you by the good folks at the Vortex Theater and the City of Albuquerque. To find out more about this inaugural event, we sit down with the man behind the mayhem, director, artistic director, and scholar David Richard Jones. So, David, tell me a little bit about the Shakespeare in Civic Plaza. Of course, I was a student of yours. Know that Shakespeare was originally done outdoors. Was the idea partly to kind of bring it back to its roots somewhat, but infuse New Mexico into Shakespeare?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It did begin outdoors. He wrote for theaters that were open to the air and in daytime, actually. Ours is at night, but it breathes in a way in that larger arena. Then the idea to make it New Mexican, to make the production concepts New Mexican, contemporary in the case of Romeo and Juliet, and 19th century in the case of Midsummer Night's Dream, was an idea that we thought would be a good way to connect to the broadest audience possible in the first year of this enterprise.
Audiences are flocking downtown to join the alfresco theatrical experience, with oversold crowds and enthralled theatergoers every night. The cool evenings of the Southwest and covered awnings of Civic Plaza provide the perfect environment to experience both Romeo and Juliet as well as A Midsummer Night's Dream in repertory production.
So, Midsummer Night's Dream running in repertory with it. Now, a lot of people may not know repertory. You use the same company of actors, actors playing different roles. Your Romeo is a smaller role in Midsummer, and some of the smaller roles in Romeo and Juliet, they get bigger presence in Midsummer, is that right?
That's right. And one of the things this does is to make the sense of the cast more even. You're hiring really good actors to play small roles as well as big roles. And from the point of view of the actor, they get to be part of a company and they get to work from play to play as from one night to another. Starting this weekend, we're going to be almost alternating on a nightly basis between Romeo and Juliet and A Midsummer Night's Dream. And so from the audience point of view, it yields a good product. From the actor's point of view, it's an interesting experience.
Few directors in town are as familiar with the bard as Jones. His relationship with Shakespeare has inspired generations of artists and literary scholars, both in the classroom as well as the stage, for over 40 years.
What is it about directing Shakespeare that compels you? You've done how many Shakespeare productions have you directed?
I can't remember. Somewhere between upwards of 10, I think. What is it about Shakespeare? Well, it's the best. You might as well ask a symphony conductor, what is it about Beethoven? There he is, you know. It's great stuff. And it's stuff that doesn't stop giving. Shakespeare there seems to be more. I've directed Midsummer Night's Dream before, many years ago. I've taught it 100 times, it seems like, at UNM. And even so, in rehearsal, I'd be listening to lines and looking at situations and dealing with actors' motivations and discovering things about the piece I never knew. How many ever times I've seen it, I still was learning. And that's, I think, for many people, that's one of the charms, actors as well as directors, is that Shakespeare just keeps being fertile.
You were a founding member of the Vortex Theater, one of the longest running black box theaters in the state, if not the longest.
The longest in Albuquerque. Yeah.
So, and you're getting ready to move into some new digs. Okay, so tell us about this new theater and what can we expect from the Vortex in the near future?
It's on Carlisle, north of the Knoll, which means it's very close to the I-40. It's a bigger, newer building with a higher ceiling and all kinds of things that we're building in it that will be superior to the old building we've had. The old building was great. It had a great feeling in it, and audiences came to enjoy the kind of funky charm of this repurposed pool hall that we were in for so many years. But the building at 2900 Carlisle is going to offer us the chance to build a much nicer theater while holding on to the idea of a black box, intimate staging, and flexible staging where the audience and set change from play to play, which we've always done. 37 years, that's always been the case.
Shakespeare in Civic Plaza, featuring Romeo and Juliet and A Midsummer Night's Dream, continues through July 13th right here in Civic Plaza. For more information, head over to casa.com and click on the Style tab.